All right, people. So this is going to get into history, and it might be longer than some of you all want, but I think this is important right now, what was going on in the country, especially to younger folks, and especially black and brown younger folks. Don't get disillusioned because you feel like things aren't happening fast enough right now. Biden isn't doing this, Biden isn't doing that. To be fair, a lot of you guys have not had civics classes, so you don't really quite feel how the whole government works. And Biden can't just like make people like Joe Manchin do what he wants them to do. That's not how it works. So that being said, let me get to the point. You guys need to look at 2010, the midterm election with Barack Obama, to understand what I'm talking about right here. Once you get frustrated and you throw your hands up because you're impatient because the change doesn't happen fast enough for you, you end up making things worse. So you go back and you read about 2010, Obama's trying to get all these different things passed. When they were in 2009, the big fight was for the Affordable Care Act. So in 2010, it hadn't become popular yet because remember, Republicans were talking about death panels and they're going to kill Granny and all this shit. So people still had a negative view. Actually, that's not accurate. There was a negative view when it was referred to as Obamacare, but when it was the ACA, people loved it. So 2010 comes, midterm elections. That midterm election, they lose seats because people got frustrated, primarily younger folks. And at that time, one of the biggest beefs was, well, Obama didn't close Guantanamo like he said he was, forgetting that the Congress stipulated that we're not going to give you any money to close that. So again, that requires knowing how our government works. So you get frustrated, things aren't happening fast enough, you cut off your nose to spite your face, and like in 2010, Republicans took control of the House, and they obstructed everything Obama wanted to do. This time is worse. And I say this because of where Donald Trump has the Republican Party. Think about it. This man is still saying he didn't lose the election. Republican surrogates are saying he didn't lose the election. There was massive fraud. He, in his last little deal over the weekend, or maybe it was Monday, sent out a missive, not a missive, sent out a letter or whatever the heck it was, talking about Ashley Babbitt as a martyr, wishing her a happy birthday. Ashley Babbitt is the woman who, during January 6th, was trying to get into the House chamber with all them other crazy fools that got shot. This is where this party is. To get deeper into this, when people want to just look at, oh, the parties aren't different, they're the same. They're different sides of the same coin. That is simplistic thinking. I understand why people want to say that because of the way our system is set up, but this is what I would tell people to look at it this way. American politics is about white supremacy at the end of the day. Some people don't like to hear it, but it is. I'm talking about from the inception of the country to now. And white supremacy has bounced between parties. During slavery, of course, that was the Democrats. During Jim Crow, that was the Democrats. That's who the racist white supremacists were. When Lyndon Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act, and other things, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt did some things, you started to have a shift. Well, in 1964, Barry Goldwater came out against the Civil Rights Act, and since then, the Republican Party has been the party of white supremacy. So think of it this way. Did the Civil War actually end? Well, it did, and we had Reconstruction, but we didn't keep with Reconstruction, and we didn't punish those people, and they came right back in, and then we allowed them to run the South the way they wanted to for 100 years. This is the core of what is Trumpism, the make America great again. We want our country back. That's what this is. This is white supremacy. So for the people who think, oh, the Dems are no different than the Republicans, there's a difference, I'm sorry. Do the Dems always do things fast enough? Hell no, but you got to remember something. As I pointed out, the Republican Party becoming more and more racist. Well, that means people who used to be conservatives, quote unquote, started leaving the party. Many of them became Democrats. So the Democratic Party has to span an ideological gap that is Joe Manchin on the right to people like Maxine Waters on the left. That's a huge political gulf. The Republican Party doesn't have to do that because it's a monolithic party primarily around white grievance. You guys tend to always look at policy, and I get that. Policy is hella important. I would argue the Supreme Court is a bigger deal because they can strike down any policy. But what you guys need to look at, and when you say the Democrats haven't done anything, When Trump was president, the Department of Justice, they weren't investigating civil rights issues. They weren't looking at some of these voting laws. They weren't doing anything about that. They were not investigating police departments for their pattern and practices, behaviors. They were not upholding consent decrees that had already been put in place. They didn't care. These are real things, real tangible things that touch people. The CARES Act, there were things in that CARES Act that will help. They weren't spelled out to say, oh, this is for black people. Oh, this is for Latinos. But because of the racism in this country, because many of us tend to be at the lower end of the socioeconomic scale, there were things in that to help to help people in those positions. So is it perfect? No. Is it fast enough? Hell no. But as I tell people all the time, you got two choices: ballot, bullet. And these Trump people are down for the bullet. You see the violence that they're willing to do to have a country. That's not sustainable. People think, oh, we might be in a civil war. No, we're in a civil war right now. It's just a cold civil war, like the Cold War with the Soviet Union and America. No gunshots, but don't think we're not in a war. You have Republicans all around this country that have already changed voting laws. They've already replaced elected voting officials in Fulton County in Georgia because they didn't like what they were doing, and they come up with all these excuses of why they can get rid of them. They are already changing laws in states and have changed laws in states so that the stuff that Trump was trying to get people to do to give him the votes, they are putting people in position now to do that. There are people running on that. If you guys think all this is going to be fine, you lack imagination of how bad things can get. Scenario real quick. It's 2022. The Republicans win the House. Okay. Because they very well may just on gerrymandering alone. But they win the House because you guys are mad. Biden didn't do this, Biden didn't do that. You're mad, you don't vote, they win. Just like in 2010, they get control. So now it's 2024. They gain more seats. Trump loses to Biden. Remember, the Electoral College has to be certified in the House. The Republican-controlled House, that all of them right now are still going along, well, primarily all of them are going along with Trump right now about the election was stolen. They're going to certify another election in 2024 to say that Trump lost again? Really? Y'all believe that? That would be the end of the country as you know it. So, is Biden perfect? Fuck no. Is he doing everything that I would like him to do? Fuck no. But when you guys want to simple, I don't want to vote for the lesser of two evils, well, understand again, ballot, bullet. Because what will exist if Donald Trump becomes president in 2024, y'all ain't gonna like it. It'll be too fucking late.